Hello. I'm Jeffrey Jacoby, and I'm a member of the Ministry Associate Team. And it is my privilege to welcome all of you in person and online as we come together for the installation of Reverend Christina Branum-Martin as our settled minister at Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Marietta, Georgia. Since the first day Reverend Christina joined us here at Emerson, it was clear to all of us that she saw what's been happening here. She could see what a special, loving, and important place this congregation is to all of us, and has done everything possible to support every group, every service, and every body she has come into contact with. The amazing growth we've experienced in the last few years since COVID has only accelerated under her guidance and support. And if the incredible increase in the number of our congregation is any indication of what's to come, then I hope I speak for all of us when we say we are so glad to have you with us, Reverend Christina. And now, please rise in body or in voice for our processional hymn, which is Wake Now My Senses. It's number 298 in the gray hymnal, or just look at the screen.
Creation. Wow. Amen.
Amen.
I remember when the choir wasn't this big. We begin our services in recognition of a light that exists within all of us. Many of us come from so many different traditions, but most of the time we agree that there's a light in all of us. Most of the time. It is such an honor to stand on behalf of the Abundant Love Unitarian Universalist Congregation in the West End. I'm Reverend Duncan Teague. I'm not Reverend Joan Armstrong, but I'm standing in her stead. And Joan and I have loved Christina since right after your arrival. Wow. And we're glad to be here to help you light our chalice. And Christina's son, Valentino, is going to light the chalice for us. We'll light our chalice this afternoon on behalf of ministries that come from deep within our tradition, from childhood like Christina, and also for some of us who stumbled here from all over faiths, and sometimes just the Sunday paper and a cup of coffee on Sunday, and we got here anyway. May this light illuminate all that we do, wherever we are, wherever we go, so folks who need to see a light, amen, can see it, and even more important, feel it. Amen.
From Reverend Teresa I. Soto, Spilling the Light. Some people are used to keeping the rules. Don't cross the street when the light is red, only sensible. It turns out that keeping rules isn't the same as keeping covenant, which asks us, instead of keeping a bright line, to keep our promises. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and place, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected, this planet. We promise ourselves to the idea that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot tame and cannot measure. The chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside us cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. The thing you must be is yourself. Unadulterated, shedding the willingness to journey alone, as though you're made of something hard and unforgivable. You are human. You belong right here, right now. And together, we will chase away the sickness, the secrets, and leave only the open possibility that the future is a space for growth.
There is a video that we will eventually see from the UUA. Do you need any direction to get that video up?
go with the flow here. I'm Reverend Marty Keller, and I'm privileged to be serving the UU Fellowship of Auburn, Alabama. Yeah, but I've been in most of your congregations over the years. I was asked by Christina, and thank you for giving me this honor, to welcome her and also greet her on behalf of her amazing colleagues out here. Not so much a welcome, it seems silly to say it's a welcome, because it should be a grateful recognition of the continuation of her presence among us, now as a settled ministry of this beloved community. And good on Emerson. She has already, you see, been in residence with us for so many years. Some of you knew her first as a religious educator, a minister in aspirant and candidate formation, a chaplain, and a parish minister. So we know her, and you can nod your head, colleagues, as a faithfully engaged colleague, a listening heart, in leadership in our clergy cluster, which according to Tyler is a model for monthly support and camaraderie in the southern region. And she's been in leadership. Some of us have been in there for a long time. I'm going to be celebrating 25 years in ministry this year, and I know a lot of us have been around this cluster for a long time. She's a colleague friend over weekly coffees, trips to the botanical gardens, and especially an evening watching Wicked in a local movie theater. So on behalf of her minister colleagues, our heartfelt congratulations. And maybe if you could just all stand up, colleagues, and join me in saying a resounding hooray! Hooray!
Greetings. Hello, I'm Nancy Combs Morgan, a congregational life consultant in the Southern region. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an older white woman with reddish hair wearing a brown jacket and a floral scarf. Tyler.
Greetings, I'm the Reverend Byron Tyler Coles. I use they, he pronouns, and I am also a member of your congregational life staff in the Southern region. I am a brown-skinned individual with a bald head, facial hair, and tortoise brown glasses. I'm wearing a gray sweater with a blue and green colored skull. It is so good to be here with you today to celebrate this moment of a congregation and its minister entering into collaborative ministry. In this time of heartbreak and uncertainty, as a community, you have chosen to answer the call of love amongst you. It is bold, it is faithful, and it can even be slightly terrifying. But we trust in the ministry that you as a congregation, that you as a people of shared faith and prophetic values hold and proclaim amongst you. Again, congratulations and blessings be upon you.
As Tyler and I model shared ministry in this virtual moment of celebration, may you all savor this time of deepened shared ministry. Having known Rev. Christina before she started as your contract minister, I can well recall her hopes and dreams of serving your community. Her deep connections in the South, but particularly in Georgia, bring to mind the refrain in the Shaker hymn, Simple Gifts, of coming down where you ought to be. It feels auspicious that this community has invited Reverend Christina Branum-Martin into this time of called ministry here at Emerson. Dear ones, embodied shared ministry that seeks to reflect beloved community is not a fixed reality on the horizon. It is a process of becoming. With Reverend Branum-Martin, I feel genuine hope and conviction that this will be a time of prophetic ministry for your community. Her pastoral presence and loving voice will heighten your vision of courageously supporting a theology of liberation. Many blessings on this day and going forward. And please know, as our Southern Region team, we remain ready for deeper connections and support. May it be so.
Good afternoon. What a joy to hear the words liberation. This ceremony is but a moment in the life of our congregation, which is a stream of living history. Our strength, our current vitality and joy comes in part from our deep roots. Those who gave life to the congregation from its founding 43 years ago until today. Before we call upon the authority of the congregation's members in this ceremony, we will place flowers on the altar to remember those people, living and dead, clergy and lay, who shaped the congregation that we call our spiritual home. The children are now invited to come forward to create a bouquet of living history. Those who have served this congregation in ministry, beginning with Reverend Joan Armstrong Davis, Reverend Terry Baloff, Reverend Glenda Gray, Reverend Marnie Harmony, Reverend Jeffrey Jones, Reverend Don Cameron, Reverend Deborah Bennett, and our intern minister, Reverend Charlotte Arsenault, and former member and now ordained Reverend Kathy Tu Ricky. And those who came before us, to include our founders,
Marjorie and Fred Macy, and very longtime members, Millie and Richard Fuller, including our former religious education staff, Beth Klein, our religious education and music staff, Scott Dobler, Kathy Tomlin, and administrative staff, including Sarah Drew and Rhonda. And all the members and leaders from over the years, and those members who have joined Emerson from the Marietta congregation, we stand on the shoulders of so many. Lend your memories to our honor, and please feel free to call out the names of past members who you know form the cloud of witnesses celebrating with this vast and meaningful and marvelous day. Peter Chattel. As we balance between our past and our future, the deep roots that gave this congregation life, and the story we have yet to write, may we know ourselves not only as a people of joy and immense gratitude, but also as a people of memory and a people of honor.
Today's offering will be given to the UUA's Living Tradition Fund. The Living Tradition Fund helps emerging, current, and retired UU ministers in 3 ways: seminary scholarships, seminary debt reduction, and emergency grants. Frankly, this resource has been a tremendous blessing to me and my family. I've received a grant each year since starting full-time ministry to help defray the significant cost of seminary debt. This has already helped sustain me in relatively simple times during which I could also depend on income-based repayments for my student loans. There is so much more uncertainty now, though, as the U.S. Department of Education is being existentially threatened, and the annual application for income-based repayment of any kind has been scrubbed from all government websites. This is terrifying for me and probably for many others. I'm so grateful that I, along with many of my colleagues, will still have a lifeline through the Living Tradition Fund. In solidarity with my colleagues, our lives would look much different without support from this fund, a fund which in turn needs support from folks like you. Financial generosity is so important to affirming a sense of mutuality among us. The practice of generosity reaffirms the commitments we've made with each other, just as we do here today with this installation for my dear friend, Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. An installation that doesn't mark the beginning of a relationship, but codifies a relationship already nurtured, yet still ripe with possibility. That's what we do with our resources today, too. We reaffirm our interdependent relationship with all of Unitarian Universalism in a way that will hopefully and will have a lasting, tangible impact by maintaining those professional ministers who have devoted their life to this good faith, this living tradition. Cash and checks are both welcome. Checks can be made out to the Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation with installation offering in the memo line. You can also mail a check later, and I understand that there is a card in the offering plate which we passed, which will have information about how to give online. May your gift today keep the steady stream of caring, competent, compassionate, passionate, pastoral, and prophetic ministers flowing along in the endless song of love, ministers that sound a lot like Reverend Christina. I ask that you please give generously, and we thank you for that generosity.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Lukens, and I have the distinct honor of being the Director of Family Ministries here at Emerson. And before I introduce this video, I'm going to try to get through this. I would like to add my own personal voice of congratulations. It has been a joy working with you this last year and a half, and I am looking forward to many more years together. As today is a special day for you in our community, the children and youth wanted to share in the joy and happiness of you becoming our settled minister. So over the last month, we asked our children and youth a very specific question. Now, I made her promise not to watch the video before today. She promised me. So, and then we filmed their answers. I think you will find their answers to be poignant, sweet, funny, and insightful. And as a side note, I do have to give a big shout out to Alex Douglas for putting this video together for me, so thank you, Alex. So, without further ado, here are the children's and youth's charge to you as our newly settled minister.
Join us at the youth activities held throughout the year.
Paint with me and paint flowers and unicorns. Play
When there are songs or activities up on the stage, I think they should invite more kids and not just young kids to go up there, because most of the young kids get most of the attention and not much old kids like me. So
I kind of get like jealous when people go on stage and I'm like, I wish I could do that, but I'm only 13 years old. And this one isn't about kids, but at the other UU, I went to one of their services and I noticed that during the joys, concerns, and sorrows, people actually put stuff in the chat and then a person came up to the mic and read those out.
very hard quizzes. A water balloon fight.
We think Reverend Christina could participate in activities with us.
I think Reverend Christina should have more kids play opening music in the service.
I want Reverend Christina to listen to kids who need to like talk through things, because sometimes they got stuff building up and sometimes they just need that out.
It's hard to think of something because we already feel a part of Emerson.
I think Reverend Christina should make a club for all the kids that want to help.
I think that Reverend Christina should make more active activities for kids to do.
I think that Reverend Christina should once a year do a kids sermon.
How about we just reward all of the kids if they pay attention very well? They at least get like a piece of candy.
The way that she makes me special is that she gives me hugs and kisses. I like trees. I like flowers. Reverend Christina is
Just markers for people so they could get to know each other better for new people.
Thank you for making me feel so welcome.
Believing in everybody.
Giving them autonomy and letting them have a say what happens in the church and in the services.
I think one way that we can make people feel more included is by building relationships with like the individual person.
I think Reverend Christina should keep doing what she's doing.
Good afternoon. I am Reverend Christine Dance. I use she and her pronouns, and I am proud to be the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix, Arizona. I bring you greetings from another red state that is sometimes hot in the summer, and I am honored that Reverend Christina is my colleague and friend. How many of you ever had music lessons? How many of you loved practicing? Okay, there's a few of you. I love this. I love this. So when I was in 3rd grade, I started guitar lessons. My mother said if I wanted to do this, I was going to have to practice 30 minutes a day. Sometimes I wanted to do that. Most days I did not. Sometimes there was yelling involved. Sometimes there was crying, but I practiced 30 minutes a day. Decades later, I can still strum some pretty decent campfire songs. In middle school, I added clarinet, and she said, okay, as long as you practice that 30 minutes a day too. Now 60 minutes a day? I groaned, but I did it. And as I grew, the nature of my practicing changed. It was less about learning the instrument and then changing different styles. When I switched to saxophone, I had to hold this instrument a different way. When I joined the jazz band, I had to practice a different style. And then in my professional life, I had to practice there too, making a good spreadsheet, making a presentation, managing emails. As a minister, I still practice a lot, preaching and pastoral care, how to run a good meeting. So many meetings. The truth is that we are always practicing. We are never done. We are in an interesting time in our country right now. CNN's Jake Tapper calls the current situation a hot mess inside a dumpster fire inside a train wreck. And we are feeling the impact. How many of you here know someone who has lost a job or is at risk of losing their funding right now? Yeah. How many of you know someone who has lost or is at risk of losing their gender-affirming health care? How many of you know someone who could be targeted by ICE? Yeah, me too. How many of you are at risk of having your marriage affected by the Supreme Court? Me too. How many of you have a family on Medicaid or Medicare? And how many of you have been impacted by climate change in the last 2 years? Okay, it's a lot of impact. Our government is failing us. Our social systems are failing us. There are more people needing help and fewer nets to catch them. And it is accelerating at a mind-blowingly pace. And, my beloveds, we've been practicing for this. Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation, you have been practicing for this. Rabbi Ariel Stone says, resistance is not something you invent based on your feelings. Resistance is something you practice, a place of resistance, of community. You practice that so that you are not alone. We are practicing it so we are not alone. This is a place where we practice. Now, I'm going to be as clear as I can and make the bold assertion that this is not a role that any other institution than a Unitarian Universalist can fulfill right now in a way that we can. Our congregations have a unique place to do this. There are lots of different organizations out there. There are organizations like the ACLU that provide the legal power to challenge government oversteps. There are groups like the NAACP that help organize for specific initiatives and that help us feel informed. There are organizations like Planned Parenthood or Must Ministries that provide critical services to your community's most vulnerable. There are organizations that provide social interaction. For me, it's Thursday night cornhole at a lesbian bar in town. It is the most non-ministerial, thing I do in my entire week. And yes, all of those are important, but the role of a UU congregation is so much more expansive. It is to be the moral and ethical voice in this critical time when we need a clear moral and ethical voice. And unlike many mainline churches and synagogues who cannot speak about this because they can't wade into politics, we, Unitarian Universalists, are unapologetically liberal and have a moral obligation to speak to these ethical imperatives, to care for each other, to take care of the most marginalized, to enshrine basic human rights, and to be the diverse, inclusive world that we dream about. We know a little bit about this in Phoenix. Since 2022, my congregation and I have been targeted by white Christian nationalists. It started with a well-known alt-right person. You've probably seen him on some of the documentaries. Not someone I want to know outside of the world. Started with him coming into our building with the intent of being disrupted. And he filmed it all on his camera, focusing on me and sharing our banners that are in front of our congregation that we are very, very proud of. He called us pedophiles and devil worshipers. And then he sent that video out to his 10,000 followers. Another of his buddies saw it and decided to come over and flew a drone over our campus, filming both the banners again and at the same time children that were leaving a school that rents on our campus, reiterating some of those hateful lines. And he sent that to his 6,000 followers. And then last year, someone took that initial post, made a supercut of it, and distributed it to his 60,000 followers, where it got 84,000 likes, 6,000 comments, and 800 shares. We got hateful emails, phone calls, and interestingly, a whole bunch of one-star Google reviews. And I received a death threat, which hit a new level of fear for my wife and I. On top of the pandemic and this dumpster fire, it was a level of trauma that was hard to deal with. And not once did my congregation say, we should take down those banners. And always, I'm so proud to say my board president is here today from Phoenix, and not once did I feel alone in my congregation. I had the full support of my congregation. And it emboldened us as a congregation. Unfortunately, we got good practice of how to stand up to white Christian nationalism. This aberration of Jesus' message of love and inclusion is instead boldly sending the message that it is God's will that this country be ruled by a pitifully narrow interpretation of Christianity. When this happens, and this is a dominant voice in our culture, our religious voice must be heard. It is a critical counterbalance. We must not be silenced, and we must not be afraid. Unitarian Universalism is countercultural. It is the opposite of what is happening, and we have to embrace just how being in community, being in congregations, being together is an act of resistance. We are building the world we want instead of the one that we are seeing. We don't deny science to have faith. You don't have to check your intelligence, reason, or experience at the door. We don't use a God to instill fear or compliance or shame. Instead, we talk about acceptance, love at the center, and inclusion. We don't use religion as a weapon or a threat. Instead, we are creating communities of joy and comfort and gratitude and love. We, my beloveds, are an island of acceptance in a world that is looking increasingly divided. It is a place where we are intentionally creating community with people of different ages and races and sexual orientations and gender identities, body sizes, immigration statuses, and beliefs. As white supremacy culture is holding on to its final gulps, we are intentionally creating a beautifully colorful and diverse community. Preach it. We are being countercultural every time we say, "Oh, hell yes, our minister will perform your marriage." Or, "Absolutely, we will use your preferred pronouns." Or, "This is a safe space to wear whatever fits your identity." But even more than that, we are practicing building community based on these ethics and morals. We have been practicing for this. Say it with me. We've been practicing. So say, we've been practicing. We've been practicing standing up to white supremacy culture, to patriarchy, to capitalism as our defining ideals. We've been practicing the hard work of democracy. Being a self-sustaining, democratically run congregation is messy, relational, and beautiful business. We've been practicing being in accountable relationships with each other instead of the loyalty tests and bullying that we're seeing. It's hard work being in relationship with each other, but we've been practicing how we keep each other safe rather than sourcing it out to external parties that are keeping fewer and fewer of our community safe. We've been practicing providing mutual aid, taking care of each other, sending meals, checking in with each other, and sharing what we have. As our structures are failing, this is where we are learning to take care of each other. In fact, this is where caring for each other is literally the point. We've been practicing not to expect the perfection that white supremacy culture demands of us, but rather cheer each other on as we are humaning through this life together. We've been practicing putting love at the center of everything we do. And Emerson, I know you've been practicing shared ministry, because this is not all just the job of Reverend Christina, right? Right? Can she hold this all on her own, all of that? No, this is the job of every single one of us. This is your ministry. This is all your shared responsibility. Our role is to have love at the center, period. I have no other place in my life where I practice that every single day, and where the act of doing that makes me a better person every single day. In these last scary few weeks and months, people have been asking, what does resistance look like? My beloveds, this is the resistance. We've been practicing for this moment. Continue your practice. Create the alternative reality. Lean into it. Commit to it. Let us resist together. May it be so.
Thank you for those beautiful words. Let's keep this energy going in prayer and meditation. Great mystery, nurturing dark, igniting spark, we open our hearts and our minds to you with gratitude. Grateful that we are part of this web of collaborators and companions. Grateful that we have been given vision and purpose in times such as these. Grateful for the energy, courage, and insight that brings us into transformative relationships. Today we celebrate and consecrate Reverend Christina's ministry. May it be a ministry infused with strength and joy, clarity and kindness, the wisdom to rest, the grit to persevere, supported by a wide web of reflected light. Today we celebrate and consecrate Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregations Ministry. May it be a ministry of transformation within that transforms the world in its turn. A ministry of practice of compassion, vision, truth, and courage, supported by a wide web of reflected light. Today, we audaciously pray that the uncertain future of immigrants becomes secure, that our world becomes a safe place for all of our children, that bodily autonomy is restored, that fires extinguish and floodwaters recede, that sanity and truth be restored to our world. Spirit, we know we're asking a lot, but we also pray that we find our part in it, our purpose and our role in healing this world, that our hands be your hands, our voices, your voice, and our love, your love. Blessed be. Amen. And may it be so.
Hello, I'm Claudia Hebert, and I'm president of the board of this congregation. No right is more precious to a free congregation than that of choosing its own minister. By the same token, no right is more precious to a Unitarian Universalist minister than that of choosing the congregation she will serve. The coming together of congregation and minister assumes special significance when there is involved, as here, a great tradition of liberal leadership. It is with profound feeling, therefore, that we formally recognize the covenantal relationship now existing between the people of the Emerson Unitarian Universalist congregation and the Reverend Christina Branum-Martin, whom we have freely chosen and who has freely chosen us. Our choice is based not only on heritage, but also on the hopes and aspirations we have for the future. This service symbolizes our dedication to new efforts. We affirm by this act the goals toward which we strive and the ideals by which we are sustained and strengthened. Will the members of the Emerson Unitarian Universalist congregation please join with me in reading the following words? You'll find it in the order of service. Members, let's read this together. We cherish our congregation for its historic achievements and for its efforts to keep abreast of changing times. We celebrate its devotion to freedom and its dedication to issues of justice and to the inherent dignity and worth of all people. We cherish the memory of those who founded, nurtured, and progressively transformed our existence as a congregation. We cherish our congregation for all that now has to give and for what it may yet become through our united efforts. We, the members of the Emerson Unitarian Universalist congregation, do hereby install you, Reverend Christina Branum-Martin, as minister of our congregation. For our part, we pledge to walk with you in the ways of truth, justice, love, and of the Spirit. We offer you a free pulpit, the cooperation of our hearts and hands, and our resolute goodwill as you take up your work among us.
With joy and a deep sense of responsibility, and with gratitude for your confidence, I take up the ministry to which you have called me. In my truth, I pledge to maintain the freedom of the pulpit, to speak truth in love, and to fulfill the many duties of ministry. And above all, I will cherish and cultivate the ways of reason, justice, and spiritual growth among you. And with all people, may love guide us forward together.
We have a gift to celebrate this wonderful day. One of our amazing members who created these beautiful wall hangings created this for you. And so we want you to open it, okay, right now. Ginger, would you stand up?
Yes.
This is Ginger, and she created these beautiful wall hangings.
It could still have pins in it.
It could still have pins in it, but she said that.
I see the pins. I'm going to be careful.
And the congregation has signed all here.
Oh, the congregation signed it.
We all signed it.
Oh.
We didn't create it, but we signed it.
I am the Reverend Julie Conradi, and I bring you greetings from Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We are the blue dots in the red state. And what I have been asked to deliver today is the charge to the minister, and I thought maybe a definition's in order. So this is delivered by a colleague who has a sense of the minister's gifts and their growing edges. And I know Christina is now very nervous about what I'm going to share. But really, this is about the moment of the service where I talk to Christina, and I remind Christina of some things. But since you all are here, you're welcome to listen in. Christina, you are light. You are radiance. And you are love. We see you, and we honor that your worth is not in what you do, but in who you already are. Last night at dinner, a group of us thanked you for your amazing hospitality. We all admitted that when you're in charge, we actually get to relax because of how well organized and thoughtful you are, and a term that I think I'm making up, anticipatorily caring. That's how you are. When you're planning events, when you're planning vacations, when you're planning whatever it is you're doing. You have lost sleep over ensuring that everyone here has a good time this weekend. Are we having a good time? Yes. Absolutely. Christina, are you having a good time? I'm so glad. Your gifts help us all relax, but we come here for you. We would have come here if you had not planned everything. We would have shown up anyway. We would have come if there was not a color-coded schedule. We would have come if everything was a mess, because we love you just as you are. Your generosity, your love, your tenderness know no bounds. It is your congregation's job to remind you of that over and over and over after the rest of us leave, right? I want you to remind her over and over what a great job she's doing. And Christina, if you realize that you're doing more of the share of work than you should be doing, I want you to ask, how can I ask for some help here? Because these people are ready and willing to help you. Your job is to show them, through your massive heart, the ways we can continually lengthen the table, widen the circle, and show that our love is deep enough to welcome and include all who wish to travel alongside us. You keep them on the path to collective liberation. And it is our job as your colleagues, and specifically me as an Enneagram 5, to remind you to take your time off, to take a breath. I know your congregation's like, oh gosh, what? But I promise you, your minister loves you so much, she will sacrifice it if I don't remind her this morning. Remember to take care of you, to protect your time. Take time off for your kids' birthdays, for your birthday, for Lee's birthday. Use all of your vacation time. And in 4 to 7 years, take your sabbatical on time. And I'll be here to remind you in a friendly, loving way. You are worth time off regularly. You cannot fill them without having a full reservoir yourself. And we are always here if you need us. You have our phone numbers as your colleagues. We are ready and willing to listen, to give advice, to just be with you. Know that there is work in this congregation that only you can do. You are prepared to do that work, and that's the work you should focus on. And know that there is work that only this congregation can do, and you have to trust them to do their part of the work. Reverend Christina, we are so grateful to be in your orbit and to be celebrating you today. You don't have to do anything else to get these people to love you. They already do. You are already enough. We love you. Congrats, beloved friend.
Now, y'all, I don't want you to feel left out. I am the Reverend Denise Cawley. I am here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My pronouns are she and her. And I am so excited to be with this congregation that I have heard so much about, and to be here with so many colleagues that I admire. And you may not know, we also have the Reverend Meg Riley here, our co-moderator of the UUA. That's what Massachusetts organizations call president. So y'all were really blessed with so many amazing people here. Now, when we come together, we bloom. I created this artwork that's going to come up at some point on the screen to symbolize Reverend Christina and the congregation coming together, because I have the pleasure of giving the call to the congregation. So ministers, you can listen in, and so can you, Christina, but this is for y'all. All right. I painted this piece as an organic representation of the nature of our faith. And this art is inspired by the relationship with you and your minister, and with the possibilities for growth and blooming that you have. Reverend Christina, my dear friend, you are here to help root these people, to help root this congregation, and to help them blossom year after year after year. To take what they have, you already have great traditions and gifts, and to go and bloom in new directions with new seeds and things we haven't even imagined yet. Because like what Reverend Dance told us, you have been practicing, right? You have been practicing for this, but now is the time to get to the root of our creativity, because the master's tools cannot dismantle the master's house, as Reverend Audre Lorde would say, right? As Dr. Lorde and all the other accolades, Goddess Lorde, that we could give her. Today, I call on you, the congregation, to collaborate with your minister and create amazing bouquets. I can't wait to hear about them when I'm up north. You, the congregation, y'all own this congregation. You do. It belongs to you. And churches that are successful partner and support their minister. You never hear of a congregation that is doing amazing, great things that is also undermining their minister, or talking about secrets, or gossiping, or no, sorry, it's not the way it works. One of my favorite sayings that's becoming popular, help spread the word, is that we as a faith, we welcome all people, but not all behaviors. We welcome all people, but not all behaviors. All people are welcome, all behaviors are not. So, I show you this painting as a symbol of how when we come together, we can flower. And just like smaller parts of the bloom shown in this next slide, there is no way to force a bloom without pollination. We all need to feed one another. We all come together as small parts to make up the larger whole. And it is in these surprising combinations that we spark joy and interest, right? And that we also say, oh, that group over there is doing something interesting and fabulous. Can we companion other organizations in our justice work? Can we serve them, right? We don't have to be the leaders of everything. Not at all. Sometimes we have to do a bucket brigade, right, to feed. So it is with that understanding that Unitarian Universalism gives us the opportunity to know that there is a new math where 1 + 1 does not equal 2, but is so much greater. It is so much greater. So we never do this work alone. We are each a bud, but together we can make a bouquet. And I want to hear all the ways, I want to hear good gossip about y'all, that you can be not just an ally, but an accomplice in the work of justice. We need one another more than ever. More than ever. We need diplomacy, care, and beauty all growing together. We need dancing. I know most of you identify as white, but we can dance. Okay? I'm going to hone my Roma roots, and we can dance. And if you see an organization doing virtuous work, ask how you can serve them. But make sure you run it by Reverend Christina first, okay? What can we procure together? Do they need more compost to amend their soil? Don't be afraid to get dirty and do hard work together. You are not a lone flower like in this third slide. From one seed, hundreds of flowers can grow in community. In fact, we are planting seeds for flowers we can't even imagine yet. New kinds and new gardens. So be connected to one another. Let your roots intertwine. You are a system feeding the next generation, amending all that good hummus in the soil. Watering the garden is as important as weeding it. Remember, all people are welcome, but all behaviors are not, and sometimes we have to weed a behavior that is not serving us. You may have many opportunities to bloom that come with your new partnership, with your newly called minister. Nourish both. Keep them flowering. You are lucky to have so much sunshine that comes in Reverend Christina. She's going to keep feeding your vase and freshening the flowers because, my God, she will do that, right? She will. She will be on it. I was talking to her father about how, if she sees some need, she'll be like, oh, I'm going to go see if we can get one of those. We could have a different table. Let me borrow 6 more chairs. She'll do it. But if you see your minister needing rest, encourage it. If you see her needing water, you could bring her a cup, or you could dig a new well. You can do that by celebrating her on Clergy Appreciation Day. Someone's going to quick Google when that is. You can do that when you sit on the boards or the personnel committees and all that kind of thing, and you want to advocate for UUA fair pay wages and benefits for your staff, because like Reverend Dan said, we've been practicing, and so we're not going to underdo that here and then go advocate for better wages out there. No, we start right here practicing. That's right. You're gonna support this ministry by quelling gossip or harsh words. Instead, you could say, I wonder about that. Offer genuine curiosity. Offer little love notes. Provoking questions about a sermon that is done in love is encouraging. There are so many ways that this will grow your congregation because, again, congregations that are growing have all kinds of good positivity and support going on. A garden tended by many can feed thousands. On this next slide, you'll see that I included a chalice burning at the center of this garden or this bouquet. And Reverend Christina is also here to ignite this congregation, burning away what is no longer needed. You can also nurture new growth, just like forests do, right? Help her weed and help her plant. And please help one another by sparking new growth and collaboration. Because remember, when we come together, we bloom. May this art inspire beauty and a passionate ministry of love. Amen.
Well, this is certainly a special day for Emerson. I can say this from the bottom of my heart. It is truly a joy to be here today to bless and to celebrate the shared ministry of this congregation, and to do so with my friend and colleague, the Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. Reverend Christina, would you join me here? Please stand here. Yeah. If you are here with us online, please leave your microphone muted, and I invite you to turn your camera on. You are a part of this blessing of shared ministry. The essence of shared ministry is the recognition that in ministry, we do not go it alone. All along the way, in the good times and the difficult times, Reverend Christina and the congregation share the ministry of Emerson. Reverend Christina knows that while she has a particular and important role in this congregation, today's service is about the relationships in the congregation and the promises you make to one another. It is about the ministry Emerson and Reverend Christina are called to do together in these challenging times in our nation and world. Reverend Christina and Emerson, you have already begun a relationship of shared ministry. Today is it important that you know in your heart that you are not alone as we come together to offer this blessing. You're not alone in your struggles, in your crucial work in the present, and in your visions for the future. You are not alone in a world that often isolates us from one another. You are not alone in learning to be in accountable and kind relationships with one another. Dearly beloveds of Emerson, you are not alone, and you never have been. All of us in this room are in these struggles with you, and we are cheering you on just as we need you to cheer all of us on to stay committed to the work of manifesting more love in the world. Each of you received a heart in your order of service. I have this one for you. If you did not receive one, I'll show you what I have. If you would raise your hand and allow our usher to bring you one. Who needs one? Ushers, could someone in the back bring a few of the hearts forward? This is for all of us. This is for all of us. Keep your hand raised if you need a heart. If you have a heart, you can put it down, because I'm going to give you a chance to lift it up in just a moment. Anyone else? Choir, how are we doing?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. For this blessing, please have your heart ready. Now, there's a theological statement. For those online, when I am speaking to you, I invite you to place your hand over your heart. For those in the congregation, if you are not able to hold a heart yourself, I invite you to allow a neighbor to hold it for you. Today's blessing is not the blessing by or for a single individual. In ministry, a minister's family has a vital role. In this spirit, I'm going to ask Christina's husband, Lee, her younger child, Valentino, and Mia, who is joining us by Zoom from Seattle, to join me in offering this blessing. Lee and Valentino, if you would raise your hearts and lift it up. And Mia, I invite you to place your hand over your heart at this moment. I also invite Christina's father, her sister's family, her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, and other family members to join us in offering our blessing of this shared ministry. Please lift up your hearts. Shared ministry is a covenant, and leave it held up if you can, as you can. Shared ministry is a covenant between the minister and the congregation to value the gifts that both offer and that each brings to the ministry of the congregation. If you are a part of Emerson's staff, Emerson is blessed to have you, and you are here today to both offer and receive a blessing. Please lift up your hearts. If you are a member of Emerson's Board of Trustees, you are an essential leadership team in this ministry. We are here to bless you as you bless Reverend Christina and each other. Please lift up your hearts, members of the Board of Trustees. If you serve in another volunteer capacity, we are here to bless the ministry that you offer at Emerson. And we invite you to bless Reverend Christina and each other. Please lift up your hearts. All right, good choir. And everybody, look at that. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Reverend Christina, you both receive our blessing and offer your blessing on shared ministry. Please lift up your heart. If you, like me, are a colleague of Christina's, we hold this moment of shared ministry in especially high honor. Beloved colleagues, I believe it is our role today to hold the space and create the container for this minister and this congregation. And in that spirit, I invite all of my ministerial colleagues, ministers, those preparing for ministry, directors of religious education, UUA staff, to please join me in this blessing. Please lift up your hearts. I now invite the remaining members and friends, children and youth in this congregation to join me in offering and receiving a blessing on the shared ministry of Emerson. Please lift up your hearts. Those online, members and friends, I invite you to join me in this blessing by placing your hands over your hearts. And if there are others, there are others. I now invite neighbors, friends, people who have wandered in because you heard about the snacks afterwards. This is your church too, because you are here and you are loved and you are welcomed to be a part of this gathered body of believers in each other and in Reverend Christina and in the powerful shared ministry in this place. Please lift up your hearts. I hope all hearts are raised. And if not, touch the shoulder of someone or touch their shoulder. And now, with all hearts lifted up, if you can and will, take a moment, breathe, and look around this room and see your beloveds also engaged in this shared ministry. If seeing isn't available to you, you might simply sense the people around you. Shared ministry invites us to build relationships in new ways, from different perspectives. Today is the installation of a new minister and a celebration of the shared ministry of this congregation. We hope and pray that you can feel how valuable you are in this beloved community. Through this blessing, we affirm the special truth that we are indeed all interconnected and that we depend upon each other more than we know. If we have learned anything from these past very hard few years of surviving a pandemic, I hope we have learned more about our interdependence. We breathe each other's air, for goodness sakes. Our illusions of separateness have been revealed, and there is no going back. We are in this together. And there is no other way, and there has never been another way. And as we move into the future, we move together. We're all we've got. And you know the best part of that is that that is enough. Reverend Christina, you are enough. Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation, you are enough. And not just barely. You are abundant in love. And I know this. I know the love that exudes from this place, probably better than anyone in this room. It radiates from you, from the people who are here today. Reverend Christina, May you always know that you are enough all by yourself, and may you never, ever have to prove it. May you never forget that a great cloud of witnesses has your back, and as Reverend Julie has just told us, you have our phone numbers, use them. Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation, may you know that while you are strong leaders and supporters of each other, this is also a place for you to rest, to be fed, to be ministered to. Use it. Reverend Christina and Emerson, may your boundaries and your love lead you to be clear with your no's and emphatic with your yeses. May it be so. Amen. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be. Our closing hymn, if you would join me in hymn number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. I invite you to stand in body or in spirit as we sing together.
I close with such gratitude that I see in your eyes and your smiles and your presence today. My family, my colleagues, and congregations that all the members of this congregation that have been through this congregation over the years. You all have grown in me a vision of ministry. That vision of ministry started as a very young child in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, and it was fostered in my religious education classes and in the vision and work that I saw of ministers and lay leaders creating in the world the vision of love and care and compassion in each other. As we move forward through this day together, may we have a vision of shared ministry that helps us all bring into the world so much love, because our world needs it, and we need each other. Valentina, would you help me extinguish the flame? Each week in this congregation, we close with these words, and perhaps you too use them in your congregations. And this is the same thing that I have been putting the chalice out with since I was little. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Thank you. As we play music that we will exit to, our colleagues will process out, and then we can follow. There is a reception to follow, but they need time to prepare the tables and chairs in this room. So I'll join you in the foyer, and we will greet each other. Thank you.
She's still